This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 34 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grimsforge Gaming and myself, Icy with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. It's been a nice little 2-week vacation with Blackwood because, just like with all things in life when it comes to new DLC content, sometimes there's bugs, sometimes there isn't, but this one's got quite a few bugs, and without being too negative or anything like that, let's just say it's been a nice 2-week vacation from PvP. And with that, I've been messing around with my companions a little bit. And I don't know if you know, Grim, but to level your Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, Undaunted, you actually have to do the daily quests that come from the Mages Guild, Fighters Guild, and also for the Undaunted, you have to do I think his name is Bullrog. I think he's an orc that hangs out with the Undaunted guys, and he gives you the Undaunted Daily Delve. And I think that's pretty cool because before there wasn't really any incentive to do the delve aside from just the pledges to get the keys. So I think that's pretty cool that with the companion system, they're opening up things that already exist in the game and driving traffic to those things. Because now I did the last couple days running around for the Mages Guild and Fighters Guild. I'm going into public dungeons I usually never go into. I'm hitting up dolmens in other zones that I never really would do dolmens in, aside from say like Alakir Desert. But so it's been an interesting last couple days. It's pretty exciting that all these other areas are now seeing like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah, I spend so much of my time in PvP or whatever, but obviously with the current state of the game for PvP, I've been spending either time away from the game or time doing PvE content. So the Blackwood content, bugs aside, is pretty interesting. It's entertaining. I like the zone. I like the Oblivion portals. Those are fun. There was a lot of people in them when I went in there, so it probably would have been a little bit more fun or a little bit more challenging if there wasn't 50 people running around killing everything.
Oh,
Um,
you just gave me an idea. Can you talk about the tutorial system? Because I know you like to make characters all the time, and I think you're probably one person that sees like a fresh tutorial because you're always making characters whenever a DLC comes out anyway. So can you talk
yeah.
about the new Blackwood tutorial system they got?
Yeah, I have to give them a high five. They actually did this really well. So previously, in the tutorials, I never skip the tutorial at the beginning when you create a new character. The reason being is if you skip it, you'll come out at level 3 or level 4, and you'll have a couple skill points that you can put into things, but you will have not leveled your character's skill lines or anything like that. Anyways, I want to jump right into leveling the character exactly the way I want, and I'm able to attain 2 or 3 levels sooner certain abilities or certain things on characters. And so leveling, actually not skipping it, I can jump right into Sword and Board, and I can start leveling that skill line immediately. And by the time I come out of the tutorial and I'm able to kind of decide where I want to go, I'm already level 10 in Sword and Board or whatever. So I have a big jump on getting to the Sword and Board ult or whatever it is. And so I like that process too. Obviously, I've created 120, probably 130 characters at this point. I have 4 over on the EU that I just got to CP when we're talking about my PvE journeys. But the new system is really well done because they allow you to pick any of the weapons that you want. So if you want Sword and Board, pick it up. If you want the staff, Destro staff, pick it up. If you want dual wield, pick it up. They have it all laid out for you so you can start very early. Because before it was kind of by happenstance or by chance that you'd find the right weapons to run what you wanted to run. And like some people are like, I'm waiting for a Destro staff and I'm using a bow right now. Or it made you start out and do the first little your first level was actually fighting an NPC and learning how to block, how to break free, how to bash. And you could be doing that fight and getting a level under you with a different weapon altogether, a two-hander, as you always had to use the two-hander. You had to equip the two-hander and use it. And so now you can go into that fight with whatever you want and start getting levels immediately. So I was like, hey, well done, because that's really cool. And they also, before it was like just by happenstance or RNG, like whatever armor pieces you found and came up with. Well, now there's adequate locations for full armor sets. And you can even start, like right now, the meta might be to run 3 heavy, 4 medium, for a lot of stamina users. You could actually pick the heavy helm, heavy chest, and heavy legs right off a mannequin or right off the rack, equip those, and equip the 4 medium and start leveling them exactly how you would do it. Now, RNG and everything, killing mobs, you'll get some random stuff that might be better upgraded or whatever, but they really help you kind of get started. And if you wanted to unlock the heavy armor line, you wanted to unlock the light armor or medium armor line, you could just stand there and put 5 of each on real quickly, unlock those, and then decide what you want to do and equip those proper pieces. And so it was a really well done job. And there's also, it seems to me, there's so many of these little things that you can loot. And on my first 4 characters leveling and going through this, I found purple motifs, and I'm just checking everything. I'm in no hurry to level these characters, by the way, because I've done so many. It's more about the journey, right? And not to be negative, but with PvP where it's at, why race? I'm not gonna, why race to end game to CP, while they're still getting things sorted out there. So it's been interesting. They did just a really well done job. And to finish off the tutorial or that beginning section that you can skip, you can actually decide there's portals that'll let you go to some major cities in the world, which wasn't really a thing before. You would go through the tutorial, come out of a cave, and then have to run to a way shrine and then look, see what way shrines you had as a new player, or go to look at your guild roster or friends roster and see who's where and where you could port to. So I think my headphones are shutting off. 1 second.
Yep. So that is pretty cool because, well, I guess I'll say this. I think it kind of stinks that, because for me, I've got all my characters all maxed out, so my roster is already filled up, and this cool little journey that you get to experience, I'm kind of missing out on because there's
Well,
no way for me to actually get a taste of that tutorial content. There's no way for me to access it through like some weird sort of means and see, hey, what are they? How's the tutorial system for this DLC, or whichever DLC that it is. So that
I would I would use the EU server. You have a level 29 over there, Atreus, but you can just
Oh, well, I'm thinking without having to make a new character,
yeah,
just to
oh
get a
yeah.
taste of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
there's no way.
yeah,
Mm.
but I wish there was some sort of way that you could do that. Maybe something like talk to Cadwell and just like, hey, take me back to the beginning days, when I first, came here or whatever, like when you first found me, and then he tells a story, and then it sends you back to, for me, I was found on a ship, and that's how I got my start, and I landed in Strauss Mackay or whatever. So, or in this case, he'll just send you back to whatever the current DLC is, and then you'll just kind of pick up from there and kind of run through that story. And then once you exit the portal or exit that tutorial, it'll just kind of take you back to where Cadwell was telling the story about how he found you, or whatever, that type of thing.
Yeah. They we talk about the bugs and stuff from PvP perspective, and that's where I would prefer to spend my time and stuff. But I have to admit, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. Like, the game's a beautiful game, and the quest lines are awesome, and the characters in the game. So, like, when you're talking to a quest giver, like, it's full audio, visual too. Like, the characters talking, and they have the audio to go with it. And so the amount of work and effort, that there's no cheesy, just a dialogue box, and the character's just standing there staring at you with a smile. And that exists in other MMOs. You'll walk up to the quest giver, and the quest giver is just kind of standing there staring at you, and he tells you to go kill 20 white rabbits, in a dialogue box. And so then you run out and you kill 20 white rabbits, and you come back and he gives you 3 gold. And then he says, now go kill 5 baby bears or whatever the heck,
Oh, Jesus. Not the
Yeah.
baby bears.
Yep. Got to go kill them. And so, yeah, they've done a really, really good job on all of that. So it's we'll go around in the game and just looking around, you're like, man, this is a beautiful game.
Yeah, for sure. And so going back to the companions real quick, so I just learned this today where ew, had something in my throat there. So for the Fighters Guild and Mages Guild, I don't want to say like everybody knows this, but when you do your quest, or I'll just work with the daily delve, for example, that you get from Bullrog or something from the Undaunted section. If I do my quest, right, it's you get it once per day. But if say me and you, Grim, were in the same party, I could share my quest with you, and then you'll have the same quest that I have. We can go do it together or do it separate, doesn't matter. And then once we're finished, we both complete the quest, then you can go accept the quest from him, and then you get your daily quest and then send that to me. So then now we've just done 2 days worth of work in one day, right?
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the cool part about this is, of course, it scales. Say we're running with 4 or 5 people in the group. We'll say 4 for this example. We do the same thing. We share the quest. Everybody does the same quest, hand it in. Next person shares their quest, hands it in. So now we just did 4 days of work in one day. Okay. Now check. Now this is the cool part. Ready? I wanted to see if I just change characters, accept the Undaunted Daily Delve on one of my other tunes, come back in, I share the quest with you, okay, and then I log back out, log back onto my main that has my companion unlocked, and then you share that quest that I originally shared it with, and you share it back to me, and then we can both do another round of quests. So now with just 2 people, we just did 3 days of work in one day.
Right. That's smart.
So now imagine you had 18 characters, right? That's a lot of characters. It's probably going to take a couple hours to run through everything, but that's 18 days of work you just did in one day, theoretically, and with just 2 people.
Yeah. I haven't even gotten a companion yet. I've just been leveling characters and getting them to CP and questing.
Yeah, it's really cool. They're really fun. I know for me, I got Mary, and she's making her gains and stuff like that. So she even has the Mages Guild Meteor as her level 1 ability, which is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks cool. I don't think it does too much damage though, but that's not the point. So, okay, so today's actual episode, we're already I think over 10 minutes in, and now we're getting to the main topic of today. Midyear Mayhem. Midyear Mayhem, it's around the corner, and we're basically gonna go over what some tips that'll help you get prepared for the upcoming event, right? Things that you can do to make sure that you're fully ready, you're fully situated, as prepared as you can get, and I guess some helpful tips that might help make your Midyear Mayhem more successful than it would be without some of these tips. And that's a terrible intro. You think you can sweeten it up a bit?
I think that's fine. I think the thing about it is this isn't going to be from the perspective of I'm only going to participate in Midyear Mayhem to get my quests done. That will exist in our descriptions here, but this is not a tutorial on where to pick up the quest at and how to be most efficient with doing the quest in each one of the districts. That's not what this is about. This is about what to expect in those districts, what to expect in the sewers, and how to combat those different scenarios you run into.
Yeah, and it's strictly from a PvP perspective where we're gonna hopefully, the knowledge that we share is gonna be more about how to approach fights that that will happen very frequently and often during Midyear Mayhem.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I guess we kind of have it broken up into two sections. The first section is solo play, and then the second section is group play. So we'll cover the solo play first. Bombers, Nightblade bombers. Have you seen any other type of bomber, Grim? That's kind of successful or
Not
that
to the
has it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not to the degree of a Magblade bomber, just their ability to group clear. Back in the day, there used to be a cannonball build for a Mag DK where you would use Take Flight with Deep Breath and Proxdet. And so you would hit your Proxdet, wait until it's about to explode, take Flight into the group, hit Talons, and then Deep Breath Explosion. And if you're wearing mechanical acuity now, that might do something. And then there's a Bombplar build for Magplars that you could do that's kind of similar. You'll basically just put Proxdet on your character and use the Eye of the Storm Destro staff and jump into a group and just cause as much havoc as you can as Proxdet goes off, but not nearly as those other playstyles, the Bombplar and the Cannonball build and stuff like that are going to be nearly as successful as a just Nightblade bomber, running dual wield and resto staff on the back bar and just cloaking in and mechanical acuity, vicious death, and soul tether just all going off at once. So
yeah, because I know whenever I guess for the people out there that like to run solo and for whatever reason, whether they just prefer the lone wolf style or they just can't find a group, I'd probably say that if you want to get your hands on a lot of Telvar or a lot of AP, the Nightblade bomber will probably be a solid route to go in. And sure, the groups are going to expect you because Midyear Mayhem is Nightblade Central or Bombblade Central, where throughout the year, or the in betweens from these Midyear Mayhem events, you rarely see a Nightblade bomber, and if you do, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, that's a surprise. But with Midyear Mayhem, they're way more frequent because with the sheer amount of Zergs that populate during the event, the best way to take them all out in one shot, aside from Zerg versus Zerg action, is with a bomber. And it's it's oddly enough so effective. But I think the master, the skill comes in is if it's not like just a suicide play, and if you can manage to also survive the instantaneous nuke that you're gonna do on everybody.
yeah, and from the receiving end, what you're looking for is this. So Proxdet, when it is cast, it brings you out of stealth for a brief second, and if you, depending on what color you have enemy area of effect ability set up as, so for me it's a red area, so there'll be a large red area, the size of a Proxdet explosion around the player will show up briefly, and then they'll hit cloak very quickly. And so that red area will stay there even after they hit cloak. So if you see a large round mysterious red area for no apparent reason near a flag or near your group while you're clearing a boss, everybody should have their eyes peeled for that. That's a bomber. And so in chat, you would just say we have a bomber spread out. And then now if you're on the flag, you would just want to hold block, spread out and hold block. So that way you can mitigate some of the initial explosion and then make sure you kill that bomber and let them know every time that they're going to try and bomb your group that they're going to get killed. So
Yeah, and probably, especially when you're on the district flags, holding block is certainly the number one best thing that you could do, because those are those are hot spots for bombers, because most people know, well, most bombers know that when you're on the flag you're kind of just chilling, hanging out, just hanging and banging, as our buddy Papa likes to say, and either talking to your friends or whatever. But if you have any sense, you should be blocking, because once the bomber does come in, blocking will mitigate a huge amount of the damage that their normal burst would do. And for like the experienced groups out there, they'll let everybody know, well, if you're on flag, hold block. If you're capping, hold block. Otherwise, you will die. And when the bomber does come and he does get some kills, feel free to ask the guys who died, were you blocking? No, I was in my
yeah,
inventory. My bad.
yeah.
And that,
They let their buffs drop off too. They're just standing around like, well, nothing going on right here. Boom.
dude, this happened to me once where, because obviously you want to maintain your buffs and everything. I got caught. I was on flag and I was like mid buff, like during a bar swap, and I got killed during it.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
was just like it was such bad luck, because there's no way he timed it, because I could buff up at any random point, but he just caught me right in between a bar swap when I was buffing up, and then that's when I was killed.
yeah. I was on Stan Lee, and Stan Lee had really, really good max stats and very good recoveries and very good resistances. He was cap resistance. And I was even holding block, but three people, uh, while I'm holding block, three people were too close to me. And when Proc's debt went off and Vicious Death went off, I got hit by three different Vicious Deaths on top of, what the bomber did. And so it was enough to kill me, even holding blocks. So it was, I was pretty surprised. And then I think Torva came up and teabagged me. So, and he was on our faction. So,
Nice, love
yeah,
Torva. Shout out to him.
right.
Let's see what else. Anything else? Any other bomber tips that you can think of?
No, I mean, if you're wanting to be a bomber, there's a lot of videos out there. I can tell you though, if you're going to be watching a 20-minute clip of some really good bombs, they probably spent 8 hours or 10 hours recording to try and get those clips. It's not easy to pull off the successful bombs and then peel, get out of there. So the guys that could actually escape or survive the bombs, that's pretty impressive. So you just need to give credit where credit's due and know what you're watching is, a high skill set player that is cleaning groups and then able to escape.
Yeah, and I will say this, since of course we don't know the exact date of Midyear Mayhem. We know it's probably in the next couple weeks or so. That typically it's end of June, early July. But I will say this: if you never bombed before and you making a bomber right now because you do want to bomb during Midyear Mayhem, start practicing. Go out there and just bomb single people. Just people who are just hanging out by themselves, just one person. It's okay. You don't have to hit 20, 15 people as a practice session. Just get your rotation down, get your foundation down, so that when you do come across the Zergs, well, guess what? You've already practiced 20 times, 30, 40, 50 times over the last like 2 weeks, prepping for this moment that there's no way you can mess it up. Because
Yeah.
from my own experience on the receiving end of it, I know good bombers, when I see them, and I know bad ones when I see them.
Yeah.
And I think it goes a long way if you actually take the time to practice. And just like we say all the time, right? Well, we say a lot of stuff, but um, now I can't even think of something I was gonna say. Okay, the maturation process, right? There's a
Yeah.
maturation process for learning how to play a mag bomber, right? And you should take that time now to start practicing for showtime. Your show, like when you're gonna perform, is gonna be Midyear Mayhem. That's your time to shine. So
Yeah.
I would start practicing now if that's something that you've never done before and it's something that you do want to do.
Yeah, another way that so I've probably done this with maybe 10 bombers, people that are need training on the rotation and applying the buffs, and then getting into the, line of sighting, setting up your shade, and then buffing up, hitting the bomb, and then going into the group, exploding, and hitting your full package, delivering the full package, and then exiting, is go to Fungal Grotto on normal. And so your Vicious Death set, if you're running Mechanical Acuity Vicious Death, your Vicious Death isn't going to proc on the NPCs, but they have 49k health. And with your just basic bomb explosion and your soul tether and your sap essence combination with mechanical acuity proc, you'll clear groups. And Fungal Grotto on normal is set up really well to where they're kind of all clustered up and they're perfect little bomb groups. And so that's what I do is I'll go and bomb the majority of the group, leave a couple to build ultimate off of, and then finish them off and go to the next group. And so I've gone into Fungal Grotto with probably 10 different people working on this. Set your shade up. Shade discipline is what I call it. Have very good shade discipline. Otherwise, if you jump into a group and hit your full package or whatever, and you're not finishing the groups or not killing them, and then you're expecting to be able to hit stealth or shadowy disguise and sneak away, your survivability chances are really low. So you need to be able to create space and create it very quickly behind a line of sight, and that's how the shade is your exit strategy.
Do you think public dungeons would also be a nice place to practice? Because I know they have a lot of the trash mobs are grouped up really nicely in public dungeons.
Yeah, the only problem is the normal dungeons, they have 49k health. And 49k health, if you can clean a group at 49k health without the vicious death proc, you're good. You'll find that the health is way too small in the public dungeons, and your vicious death will almost hit, kill them, and it will kill them probably with mechanical acuity. You'll do a vicious death sap essence and everything dies. So that's why I like the dungeons. And also they're instance based, so you don't have to compete with anyone else. So once you clear it, you could just exit the dungeon and then reset the dungeon and then go back in and practice again. Or you can go the full rotation of starter dungeons. So you could go Fungal Grotto, then gosh, what's the other one? Elden Hollow has a nice setup, and basically all your really low level beginner normal dungeons, those are perfect for going in and practicing. Another thing too you could use those for is as a Nightblade, you can use Fungal Grotto on normal to practice the clean cut, which is there's a group of people standing on a flag or whatever. Can you get in and nuke 50k health and then be gone on just a stand blade? How do you and your target selection? So when you're coming up on some of these groups, especially the little goblins, they have a healer or two mixed in the group. So can you sneak in and execute the healers and then kill the rest of the group one at a time, systematically, methodically? And so practicing the clean cut as a stand blade is a lot of fun. And then the other thing is just practicing 1vxing and trying to limit the amount of damage that you take and just go in. And you can run vet dungeons as a single player too. So if you're a Stam Crow or Stamden, Stam Sork, you can run certain vet dungeons, no problem. Mechanics are the only limitation, but those are great places to practice 1vxing. You're fighting multiple opponents with multiple damage sources coming in, and it'll require you to maintain your buffs, maintain your heals, and sometimes you need to line of sight, and sometimes you need to channel heavy attacks to get resources back in the tank, and how to maintain your crowd control effects. And so it's kind of like your dojo, your training area before the real thing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into the assassination type playstyle. And to me, I just attributed that to playing as a Nightblade, where you put you put your shade down, buff up or whatever, and then go in, gap close, do as much damage as you can to your target, and then peace out, as if they never even saw you, just a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some Mandalorian BGs, some battlegrounds that you can watch, and target selection is one of the most underrated skills that you acquire, and it does take time to acquire that because it's so hard to fight the urge to just jump in and start fighting, right? You see, there's a mosh pit in front of you, people are fighting, people are low, and this, that, and the other, and it's so hard not to just jump in and join it, and then you pick up unneeded deaths there, and the more time that you're dead, the less time on target you have, and the worse your kill to death ratio and everything will become. And so you'll see me roll up to right at the beginning of battlegrounds, and if there's a fight on a flag where all three teams are colliding, I'll just sit off to the side. I'm in no rush. The alpha predator is in no rush, right? Because he knows that when he delivers his package, the full combination or rotation that he has, they're probably dead. So just take your time and look at the back rows or where are heals coming from first if you're playing that assassination style, and those are your targets. And so you'll see in one of the videos, I scan probably 4 or 5 people until I come to someone that has 18k health. 18k health in a battleground, you're dead, man. You're dead. You need to drink some milk. I saw that in a video. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, whenever I'm talking to Emma and he's showing me one of his builds that he puts together, and it's always, his bowman freaking going into a BG with like 20k health, 19k health. I'm just like, Emma, you're freaking nuts, bro. He's like,
Yeah,
oh, my build's not good. I was like, your build makes me uncomfortable just looking at how much health you have. But
yeah.
he usually
Especially
does
for
pretty good.
especially for the amount of damage that's in the game right now. The damage is so high. It's astronomically high. You could have cap resistances, does not even matter. So, damage is super high right now.
Yeah. So with target selection, I know for me, I guess spending like the last, I want to say a month, 2 months working on my Nightblade because I like that whole assassination playstyle. And I'm not running anything fancy, just battle, I think I'm running two-piece battle org with front bar mechanical acuity and then back bar Darlock Bray, just so I can cruise around the sewers unseen with Darlock Bray, and then whenever I do come across a target, I then buff up and then go in with my mechanical acuity for the kill. And so for target selection, I only go for targets. My build's nothing special, but I only go for targets that I identify as weak players, just like anybody, just like just like any sort of animal in the animal kingdom, right? Whenever lions or cheetahs are hunting, they're not just going for the strong gazelles. No, they're going for the for the small ones, either like the kids, the older ones who are slower, right? They always go after the weaker opponents. So I do the same thing whenever I'm hunting in the sewers, because if it's just me and I'm coming across a Zerg, I can't just jump in there all willy nilly. No, I gotta approach it with some reason, with some logic behind it. So I'll identify. I guess I'll scout them out. I like to scout because it's because it's kind of, you're being like a creeper, just like watching people just PVE and stuff. But you learn a lot of knowledge, right? If you see someone fighting a banner and they're taking so much damage, you can easily assess their skill level. And guess what? Most people, if they're just PVEers, they're not going to buff up. So that's more knowledge that you have, knowing that, okay, he's got 6,000 less resistances because he's not buffed up. I'm going to put major breach on this guy, so he's going to be down another 6, and now I'm going to jump in, gap close, and kill the guy. And of course, I've identified him as somebody with 25k or less health. I'm going to go for the kill. But I'll wait for my moment, right? Whether it be waiting for him to go for a chest, whether he's going to get CC'd by a NPC or he's going through a door. I wait for those type of opportunities, before, as part of my target selection, and also which has a high success rate of me getting the kill. And with Midyear Mayhem coming around, if there's no one around that I can group with, I'll certainly be on my Nightblade doing these exact things because, again, like we were saying earlier, you're gonna run into Zergs constantly. And if you're just by yourself and you still want to play and participate, but not just be a floor mat or doormat the entire time, I think playing a Sandblade is a pretty cool option because even with the Zergs, whether you're picking somebody off, biting the tail, as we like to say, you still got to be smart about it. You still got to have some tact to it. And I think the fun part is when you do bite the tail, and so they come back to res the guy, and now like they're on alert. And so what do you do? Do you just quit or do you keep trying? Now you got to be a little bit smart. You got to try and figure out, okay, well, they're alert now. How can I still get more kills off this group here now that they know I'm hunting?
Yeah. And that's fun.
Yeah.
The hunt is fun. Yeah. Hey, if we had $1 for every time we bit the tail and then waited and we hid and waited to see how many people came back to res them, like if they don't release and they're just sitting there, we're gonna line of sight and then stealth, and then here comes the group, and then are we gonna let them come out, look for us a little bit, and then go back to doing what they're doing and bite the tail again? Or are we going to go through the door that we just killed somebody at and we're on the other side now, and we're going to bite the tail on that side as everybody's going back through the door? But if we had $1 for every time we played that game, we'd be rich.
Oh, I think over a year, we certainly have over $100 for sure.
Yeah. It's fun.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun. So for other classes, I think you can speak more on this one, Grim. How do you think what's the best way to approach like fighting a Zerg? If you're not on a Nightblade because you don't have that stealth component.
Yeah. Always knowing where your next line of sight is at is probably one of the most important things. And then having a true threshold for your stamina, that if you're at 5k stamina or less, or maybe it's 25% of your total stamina, as long as you have a bare minimum of 5k stamina in the tank, you're going to start channeling heavy attacks. If you're a stamina character, you need to be cognitive of low stamina because you'll be stam checked and killed. And so that's a thing. But if you're approaching Zergs, like if it were just Icy and I, and we're going to fight a 10-man group, the first little nibble that we take on them, we always know that there's line of sight. But the first nibble that we take on them is to assess how many healers are in the group and how sturdy are they. Like if I come up and land a heavy attack, which grants me, like I'm using a two-hander, and I do a two-hander heavy attack, which gives me the follow-up passive for an extra 10% damage, and I drop a Dawnbreaker on a group, and it hits like 2 of them for 10k or 14k, which I've seen. I've got video of it actually. But I'll hit 2 of them for 10k, 14k, and then the others it's hitting for 3k, like the frontline people. I'm like, holy crap, they got some really beefy dudes in there,
Yeah.
And if we do that also, and the entire back row starts throwing out heals, like half of the 10-man group is healers or off healers, that's a tough squad to roll against. And so you have to know what the play is on all of those. Most of the time we try and funnel them through tunnels, though. If we can get everybody lined up in front of us, kind of like the movie 300 and the hot gates, if we can keep the fight in front of us and have them all lined up there, that's great. But that's normally, if you're any other class that can't go stealth, you want to do that. And if it's just Icy and I2, and say the Zerg is pushing into us a little bit or pressuring us, but they're not quite sure, like they're not steamrolling us, but they're fighting back and holding their ground, Icy and I aren't going to be able to kill that group if they just sit there balled up, because they've got 5 designated healers, and plus everybody that's front row should have their own self-healing capabilities as well. And so that's just a really hard group to kill. But let's say that is their group composition, but they're PvEers, so they are taking damage, and they're basically just light and heavy attacking in your general direction, but that is their group composition. We need to get that group to move, and the only way we get them to start moving to establish a tail is by continually bumping into them and then drawing back, bumping in them and drawing back. And so we do this, it's similar to the Spartan phalanx, or like your front line. When they're fatigued or they need to eat or rest or whatever, they'll fall back and the second line moves up. And so what we'll do is just take turns. Now, if we both go in, we're looking to ult dump. And so if we coordinate ult dump, we're going to try and take a chunk of the group out. And if you take the chunk of the group out, they'll either round up the wagons around that person that you killed, or most of the time the wheels fall off and it's like every man for themselves, and they just start running all over the place, or running down a tunnel away from the death. And so and we've seen that a lot, but if they're just standing there fighting, what it'll be is I'll jump in, burst on them, or try and strategically pick different targets to see who it is, tab target the healer if I can, to make sure that that's my next person next time I go in, and then make sure that I'm never too far away to dodge roll a couple times back to my line of sight, reapply my buffs. And as I'm dodge rolling back to my line of sight, Icy will go in, and Icy will go in with his buffs already up, and he's maintaining pressure on them. And a lot of people aren't good at sustaining. They're not good at those extended fights, whereas we're taking these brief reprieves to reapply our buffs, reapply our hots, and then turn around and give each other a break. And so the extended fights are the ones that you'll win, and even against good players too. So if they were mid-level PvPers, a two-man group can wipe them, and they don't need to be in god tier type gear or meta type build. It's just the understanding of maintain pressure and maintaining your resources. So, and that's another thing if we had $1 for every time we've done. So
Yeah, yeah. And I know, I'm trying to think, because I guess for this particular example, we'll say it's a 2v10. I'm just picturing me on my Stam DK, and to just add on to what you're saying, whatever you do, whatever we don't want to do is not fight them out in an open area, because like you're saying, when we choose to fight them in the tunnels, it's because those, line of sight is another form of damage mitigation for us. And it almost makes us as if it's not a 2v10 and it's like a 2v4 or 2v5. It certainly halves the numbers, because a good portion of their team isn't able to contribute X amount of damage on their opponents, which is just me and Grim in this case. But we're making it somewhat more fair, where we're able to avoid damage just by utilizing our terrain, and that's always pretty cool. And I know we say this a lot: speed is king. And in certain moments, when if the Zerg does choose to run up on us, we're the hunters are now the hunted, and we gotta run for our lives type of thing. But we usually don't run too far, because we'll run maybe like a room or two, three rooms over, and then if they're still chasing, all right, hey, we got two guys out of the 10 are keeping up with us. This is where we turn and fight, and then we'll see if we can burst one guy down, kill him, and then all right, well, now it's a 2v8. Let's go in. And then, of course, typically I think the guys who can keep up, and we'll say this group is like they're PvEers. The ones who can't keep up, they're probably the most experienced PvEers with PvP, so they have some knowledge, but not enough that they're able to handle themselves too well. Does that kind of make a little bit of sense, Grim?
yeah, see, I like calling that advancing in the opposite direction. If we know the play is going to be, hey, we're just going to stretch these guys out a little bit. And stretching them out is there's a group of 10. Out of the 10, how many of them have how many have access to either Ring of Wild Hunt or Major Expedition and Minor Expedition, right? So their speed caps or speed capabilities vary. And so if 3 of them are capped out on movement speed, they'll keep up with us, right? And so there's our 2v3. We'll kill those 3, and now all of a sudden it's a 2v7, and we'd like those odds a little better. And out of the 7, we know that 3 out of the 7 or 4 out of the 7 are tanky McTankersons, so less physical threat. They're less of a threat to us, which only leaves the squishies. And so then it becomes, can we kill the healers in front of the tanks, and then it just be the tanks, and then systematically start eliminating the tanky guys one at a time, because the Nightblade Bowmans and the Dodge Roly-Polies, they were the ones that all kept up with us, and so those were the ones that we just turn and ult dump and kill them. So advance in the opposite directions with full intent to turn and burn on them. And now there are times where you just have to just outright, run. And that's because every time you turn and burn and every time you ult dumps people, they're just next level tanky. The whole group is just super tanky, and they don't even need to have 40 or 50k health. It's just they're taking virtually no damage. And now I think that's probably less of a thing during Blackwood, to be honest. That was more previous meta or previous chapters, right? And previous tank metas. I feel like most everyone is taking damage right now. So, but
Yeah. And I realized that we're still in the solo play section. So I think for solo play, I think the concepts are still there, but you can't just duke it out straight up with a Zerg. But the same concepts where we're a 2-man versus 10. I think the same thing still applies even if you're like a 1-man versus 10. You got to line of sight. You got to know. What do they say that GI Joe? It's like knowledge is half the battle, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
knowing your terrain, and you don't have to just like run up on the Zerg and show your face. Just crouch in, assess the situation. Because I think just by watching people fight, you'll quickly know, okay, these are a bunch of PvEers or they're a bunch of PvPers. Because if it's a bunch of PvPers, then good luck. Unless you're, and I think I'll preface with this. I think the advice that we're given is just more for like beginners, like intermediate level. Obviously, when you're an advanced player, you already know these things. But for like the other skill, I guess for the beginners and intermediate level, you have to play as smart as you can when you're going against a hugely outnumbered situation. And I think line of sighting, having speed, and especially down the sewers where there's a lot of instant changes where when you go through doors and things like that, biting the tail. You got to find a way to thin the numbers, whether it's being so fast that you can outrun them, but just enough to outrun the group, but still have a couple people catch up with you. Then you fight the small numbers because from your own experience you can handle a 1v2 or 1v3 no problem. Or even you're stalking the group and you let them go through a door, and then there's about three guys running towards the door, but the other 7 already went through. Now's your chance. Get the 1v3 that you wanted and try to do as much damage as you can with a burst combo or whatever and get the job done.
Yeah.
And of
Another
course,
thing.
each class that you run, whether it be like a Warden, Necro, DK, or Sork, they're going to have their own different types of burst that you should already be familiar with, of course. So, but I think that's how I would approach it if I was, soloing on those types of classes.
Yeah, you need to know what to look for too. So if you're in the group, okay, if you're the two-man team, if you're the 2-man or 3-man team trying to, whale hunt or kill the big groups, you want to set up a kill box, and setting up a kill box is around a line of sight. So it's inside a building, up in the districts. It's around a corner. Everyone's ult's ready. We're going to fall back through around the corner and then ult dump as the group comes around the corner. And then not necessarily for Midyear Mayhem, but during just regular play any other time of the year, there are some high skilled groups that will use a rabbit, and basically they just send somebody that's fairly tanky with high mobility out to scout and fish, and they'll try and take pokes at a group and get the Zerg to chase them, or half the Zerg will chase them. Now they split the group, and then they'll chase the rabbit around the corner where 4 guys are ready for their ult dumps. They'll wipe that group, and then they'll roll up and try and wipe the rest of the group. And so there are games that happen, but if you're the group that's trying to kill the Zergs, setting up a kill box and ult dumping inside of a building. And so now flip the script and you're on the other side. You should always know that when I'm running into a building and I'm chasing somebody, you should have a warning going off in your head that this is not a good play. And if they want to run into a building or try and pull you into a building, just let them stay in that building. You'll see this often. It's not that your Zerg can't kill those people that are inside the building. It's just you're going to take a lot of casualties doing it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oh, I was just about to move on to the next topic, but I just remembered the rabbit situation because I'm like, I haven't really seen so many people like use that type of trick. But then I thought, oh wait, Grim, we've done that a bunch of times ourselves, where we got like some stupid Nightblade that just won't leave us alone. He's not killing us, but we just can't find him because he keeps poking at us and just being like a mosquito or something. So what we'll do is, I'm typically the one that'll play rabbit. So then one moment comes in mind where I think we were in a group of like 4 people, and we were going through we just left EP base, and I think it was our buddy Bad Larry, or it was either Bad Larry or Icepo, one of those guys hanging. This was a long time ago, and you already know.
yep.
So he kills. So they get one of the new guys in our group, right? Fresh off the boat, and we're like, okay, well, I'm like, all right, Grim, you guys go ahead, keep going. I'll stay over here. So what I do is, as soon as we're all running towards the door, I stop. I go into my map, and I'm just waiting. Okay, so it looks like I'm clearly doing something in my inventory, whatever, and I don't get nothing. And of course, he bites about 20 seconds later, and then I always run Radiant Mage Light all the time, and now the hunt's on, right? Because as soon as I was getting hit, I said, all right, Grim, we come back now. You guys come running out the corner, and I'm sticking on this guy because he can't go back invisible anymore. And boom, there you go. He's dead 20 seconds later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the rabbit trick, I think, does work if you're prepared. Because if I didn't have Mage Light, which I always have Mage Light on, then this trick wouldn't work, right? He would take the bait, but then we wouldn't be able to catch him because we have no visibility on it.
Yeah. You want to know a really funny story? I don't even think I told you this. This is
Oh, really?
100% true. I think I was running around with Dolly and my buddies over on the EU server. True story. I'm pretty sure I didn't tell you this. It was last Midyear Mayhem. I'm on Doctor Strange as Mag Sork, and we're in a group of. I'm with Ram, Dolly. We probably have, say, 5-10 people with us. 5 people. And there is a just massive Zerg out there in the sewers somewhere, okay? And we bumped heads with them a couple times. It did not go well because of their pure numbers. We are on the heels of somebody running through the sewers, and so that's another thing we should talk about is tracking tips and stuff like that. But we're down in the sewers trying to track this group. We get to middle. This is so funny. We're all in stealth. We come up onto the upper bowl where Mullig Ball's at, and we're looking down onto it. And there's one level 20, and his name is Bait. And he's just standing on the platform. And of course, we're just standing there looking at him. And I'm the only one that can see Bait. because everyone else looks at names, and I always have the character name. And so I start laughing as soon as I see it, but then the group goes in to go kill the level 20, and there was like 30 or 40 people hidden in stealth, and they just wiped our group.
Oh my god.
It was so funny though. A level 20 person just named Bait just standing there.
Jesus Christ, that's actually pretty good, dude.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, pretty funny.
I think my favorite part about that is, of course, the bait thing, but the fact that you managed, or they managed to get 30 people to crouch. Because you
Oh
know how
yeah.
there's always some freaking moron that just, we tell everybody to crouch and they just don't crouch for
Oh yeah.
whatever reason, because they want to
Yeah.
be different, they want to be cool, they want to be hip.
Or stuck in combat. That's a, a regular thing, you know.
Yeah, but I don't think they're stuck in combat. I think they're just being non what
Compliant.
non-compliant. There you go. Or if you're at work, you'll get hit with it's not a team player. It doesn't work well with others.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Reminds me of the RoboCop, you have 30 seconds to comply. So
And then
that's
you
an
get
old movie.
booted. And
And
then
then
you
you
get
get
booted.
booted. Yeah.
Okay. So next topic we're gonna cover is group play. So I guess I guess we kind of touched on it a little bit, right, with our 2-man group, but we'll say we're a 4-man group versus Zerg, and I think those concepts that we talked about earlier with speed being king, biting the tail, and fighting in the tunnels or like strategic locations that benefit your group over the Zerg, those concepts all still apply, and whether you're a 2-man, 3, 4, 5-man, whatever. As it's for the small group going against the Zerg, as well as like you were saying, those kill boxes where you've got like a Necro ult, you've got a bunch of blast bones ready to ready to go when the whole group comes up the corner or something like that, or Nova. What's the a negate ultimate, whatever it is. I think those are probably like especially the alt dump around a corner. That's probably the best way if you're not a solo play bomber, but you're in like a group now, is to kill a Zerg or to surprise them outright. Because I've seen it, and this happens to even the best of the best. Because I know when we used to run with Northhold back in, or I guess 2020, we could certainly fight groups very easily, but then sometimes we get caught and we'll we'll come around a corner, and even if we're kind of anticipating it, sometimes you just can't help it, and you run right into a sledgehammer and your block gets knocked off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Dawnbreaker Smiting because it's got good upfront damage and it's got good damage over time if they don't cleanse it. But the knockdown and conal effect knockdown, I'll use that to peel also. So like if you're in trouble and you're coming around the corner and you're taking a lot of damage, I'll wind up a heavy attack into a Dawnbreaker on the group just to peel, not necessarily to try and kill, and then I'll turn and advance in the opposite direction with you. We'll reapply our buffs and then reassess the situation. So
Yeah, and I think we got that in one of your old videos too, when it was, I think, Kratos and Senna against the
mhm.
AD group and the DC group in the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah.
those were pretty good times back in the day. I wish we could go back and I could go in the driver's seat again, but now I have my knowledge from the future and I could play that so much better.
Isn't whole life as a whole that way?
Yeah. Oh man, I would kick so many people's butts back in college and high school and elementary school.
Oh, so you'd be in jail right now? You'd be in
No,
prison?
no, no,
You would
because I
have
have
tattoos all over your face and
no,
tear
because I have.
teardrops?
I'll say this: I have the knowledge. Okay, so I know how to inflict damage and also get away with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta take those Nightblade skills and apply them to real life. Oh, and speaking of Nightblade skills, I know when we were, well, not we, when I was running with Torva's group, Mighty Toxicity, back in, I think this was like not Midyear Mayhem, but the IC event that took place in September 2020, I want to say. So um, I think we were like a 6, 7-man group or whatever, going against like Zerg, like massive DC Zergs, massive AD Zergs, and one of our guys, Warpig, he was actually a mag our regular Nightblade bomber running with us in our group
Yeah.
comp. So which is extremely useful, beneficial, because now with your small man group, you have a quick fire way to instantly reduce the numbers of a Zerg. Because you have one guy in your group that can do that, which is awesome. And the cool part is, because I'm always on my healer, he'll say, "Icy, all right, I'm going in," and that preps me mentally, like, okay, make sure I'm on my back bar for my burst and stuff. So when he goes in, he's gonna kill a good portion of them, but now that also makes him vulnerable. Okay, because now they can all see where he is, and he's going to be the lone EP in a sea of DC. Now all the focus is going to go on him, and then now that gives me the opportunity to, okay, well, I already know where he's going to be. Let me now dump my appropriate burst heals on him so that he can actually live through the fight and get another bomb off, in the next like 30, 40 seconds or however long it takes to get his ultimate back up.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best way to play with a bomber in your group. There has to be a healer in the group as well, because otherwise your bomber, it's going to be a damn near suicide mission every single time for the most part. But if you can coordinate with your healer so that he knows to give you those burst heals once you're going for the bomb, then I think you're going to be super successful with your group for sure.
Yeah, the impact that just a single bomber can do. I mean, bombers can clear entire groups by themselves if done properly and the right group. There's variables to it, and if nothing else, they just bring the whole group to their knees with, now they've got 5k health or less, and here comes the rest of your group in to finish it off. So, yeah.
Yeah, very what's the word I'm thinking? Like invaluable.
Yeah.
Invaluable like class to have on a comp.
I really expect to see an absolute megaton of bombers for Midyear Mayhem, because Nightblades right now are so strong. So strong. Like, I have cap resistances sword and board on Steve Rogers, and I was running with, I don't know if it was with you, but I know Papa was there for sure. And I got nuked from stealth, and it was so fast and so clean that neither one of us even saw the guy. It was just boom, dead. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's the hardest I've ever been hit before. Like, holy crap. I have cap resistances on this. Cap resistances on cap, sword and board. And just, it didn't even matter at all. So,
And I think that was pre-Blackwood, right?
that was pre-Blackwood. Do you know what it's going
Yeah.
to be like now? It's going to
Yeah.
be nutty.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy because I think that was probably the day after what happened to me was I don't know if you remember, but it was me, you, and Papa, and we kept getting attacked by this Nightblade who was obviously he's a vampire, and he would come in with like no health and do like his burst every single time.
Yeah, arterial burst, and he's using the shimmering frenzy or whatever.
Yeah. So I think he attacked us 3 different times, and then the fourth time when we were at middle, that's when he got me. But the thing is, there was no counterplay at all to that because I was dead instantly. And then when I look at my recap, I got hit with like 5 different abilities.
Yeah, pretty
And
silly.
and I don't know if it's just wow, he's really good, or do I suspect foul play? I don't want to say it, but how else does he just show up like his body he just appears and then I'm dead.
Yeah,
I don't even see him using any skills, nothing, and all you
yeah,
see is a guy with 1% health, because obviously he's draining his thing and he's probably using what's that set called, Titanborn or something, that you get
yeah,
like more penetration and weapon spell damage the lower your health is, like at like 25% or something like that. So
yep,
he's using that with whatever, and maybe even mechanical acuity something. So he's doing a lot of damage in that moment, but I don't know. Very,
yeah.
very sus. I ain't mad. I ain't mad.
Hey,
But I'm just
talking
saying.
about talking about sus, this is interesting. I don't think I've told you this story, but this was a Midyear Mayhem dating way back. This might even been my first Midyear Mayhem. Um, there was a guy. So the districts were absolutely World War III, if you ever been to the districts, and there were full guilds running raid groups up in the districts, like Arboretum or
Arboretum.
Arboretum. Yeah, Arb was the place where you take your large successful groups going. So like we would, if it were today's day and age, we'd see Northold up there just running loops around the thing, trying to, wipe everyone. And there was one guy, a solo dude, just standing off by the large main door, and he would just stand there and he would never attack. You could walk up to him, walk by him, he'd never attack. But the second you attack him, he would, obviously now he's fighting you. And if you were holding block, you would just hear ting 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 ting, and like just all kinds of stuff happening all at once. And like if you're holding block, you'll see your stamina just go gone, and then you die. And so what we found was, as soon as you move to within his hitbox, everything. So I don't know if he was running a script or what he was doing, but the second you moved into his hitbox, every single ability was hitting you simultaneously, consecutively. Just it was just the dumbest thing. And so I went back.
What the heck?
Yeah, I went back 5 or 6 times to fight that dude. There he is, just standing there, not fighting anyone. And the second somebody attacks him, or the second somebody tries to fight him or whatever, and it was just the dumbest thing. And it was like, as soon as you got in the hitbox, so I don't see that anymore, but
Yeah, probably for good reason too. Do you remember his name by any chance?
no, it was so long ago, and I tried to mentally block it.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of that other guy that we ran into. Um, I want to say it was I think it was during the IC event in September 2020, that the jester walking necro guy, where he would just kind of be, high stepping throughout the whole sewers, and then we're chasing him for whatever reason. We can't CC him, we can't do nothing to him, but then all of a sudden, he turns a corner, we follow him, and then we get totemed, we get agonied, we get um what do you call it, the self synergize that you can do with the totem, and colossus, all in one moment. Group's dead.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing,
yeah,
no foul play there. No
yeah.
foul play there.
He was running like a harmony build, but everything was set up on a script or something to that effect, where it just all instantaneous, simultaneously just went off. Yeah. And we ran into him a couple times. And do you remember we were at middle one
Yeah,
time?
and there was a there was an AD Zerg at middle, and he was DC, and we're like, oh wait, that's the guy. And so we
Yeah,
see him come out from DC tunnel, and then he just like comes up, runs up the stairs, runs toward the Zerg, and then boom, half the Zerg's gone.
yeah, dead. Were they even able to kill him either?
Um,
I don't
I,
remember if he
I don't
died or.
remember. Yeah, because I know we were laughing hysterical after watching him do it, but I want to say we must have ran in afterward at that point to like take advantage of the situation, because hey, the
Yeah.
numbers halved in our favor. Let's go in now.
Yeah, because we were sitting there, Alpha Predator, watching the group trying to assess, and freaking high stepping clown guy runs in and demolishes half the group in front of us. We're like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
I don't
that's
know
all we
what's
had to do.
worse. I don't know what's worse, like Michael Myers or the high stepping clown guy.
I wish I could put together a build that, like Michael Myers, I would just walk around the sewers and just kill people and just walk after Zergs. It would be so funny.
Yeah, you just like walk like a banner,
Yep.
and your name is Mike Myers or like Jason Voorhees, and it's just like, oh man, dude, that I'm just like thinking about it. That'd actually be pretty cool and pretty scary too.
Yeah. So, did you hear about over on console? There's a bug right now that you can hear cross faction chat. So,
What?
yeah. So,
What?
imagine our group wipes the other group, and while we're by them, we can actually just hear them talking, and we can talk to them. We can
Oh,
talk to each
so
other.
it's kind of like proximity chat.
Yeah. So the video I saw was a dude killed a guy, and then he was laughing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, take that tea bag." And then the guy that he's getting teabag, he's like, "Yeah, you're real good, guy." And he's like, "Wait, what? How are you talking to me right now?" And he goes, "It's a bug in the game right now. We can all talk to each other, you idiot."
Oh my god! And so was this like a zone chat or like a say or like a group chat?
It's just on console. It's like how their party chat or group chat works. Well, apparently, I don't know if it's proximity or what exactly is going on with it, but yeah, so you can hear the other people. So I would just walk around and
It, so
and
is it through voice or through chat?
it's through voice. So they
Oh,
you can talk to each other. Yeah.
oh snap, dude, that's freaking crazy.
Talk about toxic too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just might as well just play the Halloween theme song in the background the whole time.
That would be funny.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But I could see how people could take advantage of that, right? And just like put some inappropriate stuff going on or just say some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, I think that kind of covers everything for group play for the most part. All right, Grim. So what do you think about, okay, we are the Zerg now. We are the 12-man group, but we're all a bunch of PvEers. And, how do we approach being hunted? Because for me, from our experience hunting people, I think one of the best thing is of course communication, right? That's always paramount no matter what you're doing. But for a bunch of PvEers that once they've been notified that, okay, yeah, we're being hunted by X amount of people, right? We'll say 3 people in this case, right? We're being hunted by 3 apex predators. What do we do? And from our experience, the best thing that they can do is rush that group down.
Yes.
And the reason why I say that is because one, whenever we lose to Zergs like that, that's usually the reason why. Because they continue to chase us, not just 1, 2, 3 guys, the whole group. They're right there the whole time, and it doesn't give us the opportunity to burst those individual people down. And then two, whenever we'll say we're at middle, right? Because that's usually when it happens, and we're like a group of whatever our group size is. Whenever one PvPer shows up, whether they show as a hostile or not, we stop what we're doing, we leave the banner the way it is, whether it's on us or not, and we gun for that guy. Okay, we run him down, we eliminate him, kill him, and then we go back to doing what we're doing PvE wise. Because I think from everything that we know, if you can eliminate a PvPer, then you have nothing to worry about for like at least 3 minutes for him to run back down. But if you leave him alone, he's gonna wait for his opportunity to strike. And the thing is, you don't know what he's gonna do. Maybe he's just another PvEer, but you don't know that, and he's just hanging and banging, right? But otherwise, he could be like one of us, and we're just waiting for a time to strike.
Yeah. Players always take precedence over whatever's going on. So if you're fighting one or two banners or anything like that, that's another thing too, which we should talk about in the small group play. If it's just you or I, we will pick up a banner and just run with a banner running with us too. Like if there's a large group, you know.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's a good idea. I totally forgot about that.
and the one of the funniest moments is that moment where we were over by DC base, right? And we had 2 double banners on us, and
Yep, the
that
flame banner and the necro banner.
and that DC group just kept running in and getting wiped and running back because we were so close to DC base, so they would just run back and then they would get killed. And what it was is they couldn't handle fighting us straight up, and they really could not handle having to deal with the banners, totems and banners damage and the explosions and the flames and so, and we were just laughing so hard because it was pretty comical. It was pretty easy for us, but
Yeah, I think I took a work call too during that. 'Cause I was like, all right, hold on, Grim, hold on. I got another call. I gotta answer real quick.
yeah,
Because for us, we're just literally dancing around the banner mechanics. And if you
yeah,
don't know the mechanics, and I think it was like a 2v8 that day against the DC group. It was a 2v2v8 because the PvE component, the banner bosses, they do, especially those are the perfect banners too. The flame banner and the necro banner. They do
Yeah.
such crazy AOE zone control that, especially if you're in a Zerg and you don't have the experience, they're gonna wipe you for us.
Yeah.
And all we're
Yep.
doing is just sidestepping, dodging the very easy mechanics that they do, and we've fought them 100 times. We know exactly what they're gonna do, what the rotation is, all that type of stuff. So for us, it's nothing. But for the ones who lack the experience, it's freaking hell.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty fun. Now, I can tell you this: the banner you don't want to pull is a single dual wield banner. That thing will gap close to you and one shot you in a heartbeat if you're not ready, or if you're in the middle of a fight. I'm fighting 1v2 against two people, and then that banner gap closes on top of me and hits me for 12k. And
And
so
stuns
that
you.
actually, yeah, that actually happened. Um, that actually happened. I
It
don't know,
happened to me once, I remember. I think in
two
that
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
yeah, it happened to me in that video with Senna and Old Man Kratos.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was good the whole time, and then we pulled the banner for help, and of course, the banner picked me, after like a couple minutes, and then he gap closed, stunned me, and then the other guys got me, and then that was it. I think I was pretty miffed because like I was doing so well, but then of course the PvE component stunned me in such an opportune time because he does so much damage that the enemy capitalized on it and then killed me. So.
Yeah. I like the two-handed banner. I think it's funny watching him cleave through groups, and a lot of people don't realize that you could just dodge roll through him when he's doing that. So it
I
just
wish I wish he continued to cleave everybody, but what he does is he'll cleave, and then if he kills you during that cleave, or like the spin
stops.
the spin to win, he'll stop and heal himself for
Yeah.
like X amount. But I wish he would just keep cleaving and just like lawnmower everybody.
Yeah. 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 So if you're
Oh,
oh, go ahead.
and oh yeah, and also so you said the Nightblade banner is one you don't want to fight. Also
Yeah.
the Ice banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest and the worst banner to fight in a group setting, because
Yeah.
because him alone will annihilate the whole group.
Yeah. Have you ever fought the ice? I know you have fought the ice banner that's also dropping the necrotic patches. So he's dropping the ice patches on the ground and the necrotic patches on the ground. I've only run into him. It's been a lot, but it's very rarely that I've run into that combination. Because
And
it's
it
like,
and it sucks every time.
yeah, it's the banners have set components you should always expect from them. And then they kind of have a rotation of random things. Like they're either going to do where they latch onto you and start siphoning health from you, or they're going to summon vampiric totems that need to be killed, or they'll heal, or they're going to do a pull in to an explosion, or they'll summon, you know. And so they have set things that they always do, and then they have like a rotation of different components added to that. So once you recognize what they are, it's easy to deal with them. But yeah, and likewise, the world bosses up in the districts, you'll want to learn there. A lot of people are going to be rotating and killing world bosses, and the world boss mechanics will help you kill groups.
Yeah, I know I think it's the Colossus. That's probably the one I'm most afraid of because of the AoE. He'll drop like what, 5 negates all around him,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just like, oh man, this is the worst thing possible or imaginable.
yeah.
But I know we don't usually hang around there too much, so.
Yeah. So let's talk about the group. If you're the larger group, or let's just say you have a group of 10, what I'd like my tanks up front. So let's say a group of 3 or 4 roll up to us and they're trying to wipe our 10-man group. I want my beefy guys up towards the front, guys or gals. They need to be up at the front. They're the ones that are going to eat the old dumps and be able to recover from it. And then I need my DPS in my second row, and then healers on the third. And I always like to have a Nightblade um, back behind my healers, and the Nightblade's watching my healers' backs. The Nightblade also, if the 4-man group pushes past the tanks because they recognize him as tanky, and pushes into the middle row or pushes past the middle row and gets onto the healer, the Nightblade's there to stun them, CC them, control them, fear them, whatever, allowing for our group to reposition to put space between the healers and that group again. So front row tanks, second row DPS, third row healer, fourth row is the Nightblades or somebody that can effectively peel and off heal. And when you're going through doors, we want to make sure that the DPS goes through the door first, healers go through the door second, tanks go through the doors last. So that way, if the tail is going to get bit, it's just a bunch of tanky McTankersons tanking their tails off, and it gives the group time to come back through the door and jump in the fight. And another thing too is if you're that group, you don't have to just stand there and clash or collide with this 4-man group. You know, their idea is that they need to make us start moving as a group, and we're just going to push forward and just start, marching, march, just walk them down and or run them down. But if a couple of your tanky McTankersons can dodge roll through, so front line, they're clashing, their 4 is clashing with our 4. If 2 of our tanks can dodge roll through and get behind them and start attacking them from behind, we've created a pinch, a very basic, simple pinch, but now they're fighting a fight on 2 fronts. We've got our entire defense or DPS force and 2 tanks and healers on this side and a couple tanky McTankersons on the other side that are ult dumping from the flank. And so sometimes that scenario causes real issues for them. Now, those 2 that dodge roll through and try and create the pinch need to be self-sustaining and very good at surviving because they've now separated themselves from the group. And their line of sight is actually dodge rolling back to our front line and falling back behind the other 2 tanks and falling behind the DPS line to reapply their buffs and go back in. And so we're talking like phalanx tactics, how our group collides with other groups. So, and this probably sounds all very convoluted when most of the time fights are over within the first 10-20 seconds, but when we're talking about extended fights, that's how you approach it. So
Yeah, and in terms of for that portion where we're talking about going through the door and the tank being last, again, communication is key. If you're the tank and you do get jumped on, you should prep or be expected to get jumped on. So your team should be ready to go back through the door to help you, right? Not just, okay, we're going to go through first, and then they already start tracking. They're already 100 yards down away from the door, and the tank hasn't even gone through yet, but he just got jumped on, and you're like halfway almost into the next room. You want to always stay as a group and stick together as a group. And even for those moments where, say someone's going to go check their inventory, right? One, you probably should be crouching whenever you do anything in your inventory. Two, I would probably say, with the exception of the tank, who doesn't really need to crouch, he should be on alert if somebody is going in their inventory, so he can help, CC, protect them, anything like that. And of course, for the person going in their inventory, make sure you buff up, okay? And buff up every probably 15 seconds. I think that should be sufficient time. Or even if you're not buffing up and you do crouch, crouch and then walk into like a corner or something like that. Because I know if me and Grim, we know that somebody's in the inventory, we're just gonna check. We're not gonna check the whole room unless I get like a inkling that somebody's still in the room or something like that, right? But otherwise, if you're hiding well and you got something to do in your inventory, we're probably gonna miss you, okay? If we're not like stalking you 100%. So I think it's small things like that does pay its way long term because you're not dead. And
yeah.
I know Grim, between me and you, we've killed a bunch of people because they get left behind, the tail gets bit, and there's nothing they can do. And even when the tank does stay behind, he's not equipped to handle us, right? And I
Yeah.
don't know how he's communicating with the team, if they're even in voice or not. But if say he does CC us, he should be communicating, "Hey, dude, get out of your inventory, bro. Like we got a fight on our hands. We got to like do this, whatever." No, the guy
Yeah.
stays there the whole time, and then he gets killed eventually,
Yeah.
and he's none the wiser.
It's supposed to be all hands on deck right now, and he's, trying to figure out what inventory he's going to drop so that way he can pick up whatever. But do you remember, super funny story? I don't remember how many people was with us, but I definitely remember it was you and I, and we're fighting against a group, and I feel like it was a larger group, right? And we're hunting them, and we're slowly picking them off, and sometimes they release, sometimes they're not, and we are hunting them all the way to this door, and they go through the door, and we bite the tail, and then we fall back to the room, and we're crouched, and we're waiting for them to come back to res their person or to see what's going to happen. And while we're there, some dude from the other faction completely, right? So say we're on
Oh, I remember that exact situation. So
what you
I was
said
on
was so funny. What you
yeah.
said was so funny. You're like, that's exactly why you don't text and drive, my guy. you know?
Yeah, and luckily for him, we didn't kill him because I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh
let's
yeah.
just let him go." So
Yeah.
it was we were on EP. I was on Senna. You're on Old Man Kratos. I think we had one other guy. I want to say either one or two other guys with us, but one guy was like super green, and I want to say it was probably JFK, honestly, because maybe it wasn't JFK. I don't know. But so
Getting
we
getting
sent
footage for his YouTube channel.
yeah, JFK Gaming, check him out. So we were following an AD Zerg, and it was a DC player. He came out the door on his map right immediately after, dropped down, and just ran straight through us. And I said, "Graham, what the heck? You see this guy? He runs straight up to us. Didn't even see us. Didn't even see
He
us.
didn't even know we were there. He's just
Didn't
straight
even know."
line running, looking at his map, and he just ran like right through the shark tank, right through the lion's den.
Yeah, and
And
we're
Icy's
laughing.
like laughing so hard. Icy's like, "Don't kill him! Don't kill him! This is funny. This is exactly why you don't text and drive."
Oh my goodness! Or like another way I like to think about it, like in those Looney Tunes, right? In like the 90s, 80s, whatever. How if you run off a cliff, as long as you don't look down, you're still good.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, as long as he never pulled his map down, he'd be all right. So, but yeah, I think after that moment, after we let that guy go, we sent our Nightblade guy through the door, and he drops down and goes through the goes across to the bridge because this was on the transition between the second zone on EP side going into the first zone of EP side, and
Yeah.
he goes across the bridge and he's like, "Ah, coast is clear, guys. Nobody's here." So we're like, "All right, oh that's weird." So we go through because we're like, "Oh, they probably ported out or something." We go through, and then as soon as we drop down, the whole Zerg is there, and we're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
"What the heck?" But
Yeah.
the funny part was they were all crouched, and this guy, because he was green, he didn't know any better to look or anything like that. So he
Yeah.
just walks by, and he's also stealthed, doesn't see anything. Oh, okay, we're all good guys, Meanwhile, there's just a bunch of wolves all surrounding him, and he's none the wiser because they don't know he's there either. So it's the blind the blind leading the blind, and yeah, we had a nice fight in our hands for a couple minutes there, which was pretty good.
Yeah. So funny that dude though just and how did he get past that group? Was he on his map again and they just gave him a pass? They're like all laughing and looking at each other like, look at this dude.
Dude, 100%, bro. Oh my goodness.
This guy's just running around looking in his map, and
If I think about it, I'm pretty sure that DC guy, he came down from top, grabbed a sky shard, and then he was just immediately looking at his map the whole time and was going to the door, going for the second sky shard. And
so,
to him, it was just another day. Oh, wow, all the mobs are clear. This is awesome.
yeah, it's easy street right now.
Yeah, right. None
Easy
the
sailing.
wiser. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh. Okay. Another thing in terms of like being in the big group. I think this is the last point here. Make sure somebody not somebody. Make sure at least every person in your group has a form of a hard CC. Do you think that's acceptable, Grim?
Oh, 100%.
What are, I know you like to say hard CC and soft CC. Can you explain the difference between the two for
Yeah.
people?
Yeah, so a hard crowd control effect is a stun. It's something that's gonna make it to where the player loses control. They can't use any abilities until they break free. And then a soft CC or an immobilization or a root is what those are. It would be something like Bombard. Bombard is going to root you in place. You could still cast abilities, but you can't move unless you break free or dodge roll from that. And Bombard on the bow bar is also a soft CC, and that even when you're on the immobilization cooldown, every time you're hit with Bombard, the 40% slow can be applied to you again and again and again. So that's why you get Bombard spammers. And so if you're running a bow in a group, make sure you're running Bombard as your CC. You don't necessarily need Magnum Shot, which is a single target hard CC. Bombard will get the job done and mobilize a huge cone in front of you. So
Yeah, and in terms of like weapon abilities, if you're running a sword and board, you could run Shield Assault to get that stun or Reverberating Bash. Reverberating Bash. If you're on your Destro Staff, you could put Flame Clench. That'll do a CC for you, knockback CC. If you're on an Ice Staff, you could do the Frost Clench, which will count as a soft CC for the Immobilize. And then, of course, for your class abilities, if you're Templar, you could do the Toppling Charge, or you could throw your Javelin. Your DK, you got the, what else it
talons
called?
or
Yeah,
fossilize.
yep, Choking Talons for the immobilize, and then fossilize for the hard CC and soft CC because it's 2-in-1, which is freaking insane. And also, this is huge. Because I see this a lot in Zergs, they're running the, was it Silver Leash, I think, and then also
Mhm.
the chains from a DK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most. I mean, if we were in a Zerg, if we, for every DK we had in the group, I'd say everybody run chains.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
That group, I got video footage. This is going up next Wednesday or the Wednesday after it or the Wednesday after that. I don't know. But it was when I was on Frostfangs and we were up in the districts fighting those Zergs. And one of my deaths in the video is I was too far from line of sight and I was trying to dodge roll to get to my line of sight. And there was like their front row guys, they're 4 or 5 front row, and they're 20 people deep or more. But 4 or 5, all of them are running chains, and it was just chains. And then finally I'm off, cooldown, or I'm off of CC immunity, and I get yanked back into the group and they just eat you alive. And so,
Yes. Yeah, I
yeah,
think chains or the Silver Leash, I think it's called, the first ability on the
Fighter Guild.
Fighters Guild, and it's the morph of that ability.
Mhm.
Changes, or having a pull CC is so useful because you're just like, it's like, I want to say like hungry hippo, but not that at all.
You're
I
fishing.
kind of like, I don't want to say fishing either. It's more like you're like a what's that, like a reptile, like a gecko or something. You kind of like a frog, right? You kind of shoot your tongue out and then pull the fly into the mouth or whatever.
Oh
Like the
yeah.
mouth, yeah, like the Zerg. The Zerg is the frog, and then whoever's got the chain pull, that's like the tongue pulling that fly into the group and getting annihilated. Because no matter, even if you're a good player, if you're getting chained into a freaking monster or like a freaking a wood chipper,
Buzzsaw.
oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, buzzsaw, wood chipper, whatever. Sorry, dude, man, you're toast. Freaking just
Yeah.
go in head first at that point.
Yeah, no amount of dodge rolling and off healing. There's too much area of effect damage going on. You're still taking damage through your dodge rolls. And so, yep, I got video footage. It's going to be coming out, and I'm on Frostfangs. And another really funny thing about that is don't be this guy if you are running around in a Zerg. But don't be the guy that you don't even show up on somebody's death recap. Like you contributed 0, but you're running 20 or 40 man deep and you're teabagging everybody that gets killed. Like you just killed we just 20v1 this guy, and then I'm gonna stay after and teabag him. Like, really? You're that guy? And so I finished that video with that guy. So I thought that
Oh,
that was pretty funny.
oh man, that makes me laugh so much because, like, for me, it's funny. I don't do that because I don't run in circs. But the moment that the act has been done, you now are a target. Okay?
Mhm.
And I know because people they like to teabag us or somebody in our group, whatever, we make it a freaking priority, maybe even our sole mission for like the remainder of our playtime to run this guy down and find him every single time, and we will teabag this sucker. Okay?
Yeah,
Even there
time to
could
pay him
be,
back.
yeah, there's World War III going on. We killed the guy that we wanted. We're going to teabag him no matter what, even if we die afterward.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
know we're gonna die with our body on top of his body, no matter what.
yeah, yeah. So I got footage of that. He didn't even show up in my death recap, and then he's the one that, out of his 20 or 40 man group, just stops to teabag me afterwards. And it's like, really, really, you're that guy, right? You're pretty cool, my guy. We'll be seeing you out there. So
Man, it's just it's so interesting to me how teabagging in general will just set people off.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it'll change everything. You know, like
You know,
it's a nice day, but not anymore.
yeah, you know who's funny to watch about that though? Sawman UK. I like his demeanor on teabagging and everything. Like he's laughing so hard when he's teabagging somebody, and then he's laughing so hard when they're teabagging him. You know, like you could tell he's just having fun, and so that's pretty cool. It's like he's not taking the bag as an insult. He's taking it as, oh, that was pretty good, man. That's funny. Now I got to come and kill you, but that's funny. So,
Yeah, and I think the other part is like when they teabag you and then they freaking have the gall to whisper you and say
oh yeah,
something. It's just like, okay, bro. All right, just smile. Like, I know where you live. All right, I know where you live in Ontario,
yeah.
Canada, and your apartment number is this, and that. No, we know we got your address. Don't worry about it.
So you can't really do that stuff right now too, and actually think that you're something. And not to touch base on this too long, but performance is terrible right now. Between the blocking problems and the five pieces not working and just all the things that are going on in the game. You're not awesome, bro. You're not like the next best thing when somebody dies. As an example, and I'm not that either. I get killed all the time, but earlier I was in the sewers over on EU running around, and I'm on a fairly strong level 30 character, and I'm always up for a fight. If somebody runs into the room, I'm gonna fight them. Could not target this person. Could not target him. I couldn't hit him with bow abilities. I couldn't hit him with D-swing. I couldn't hit him with anything. And all I ended up doing was just healing until I was completely out of stamina and completely out of magicka, and I had no resources left. And I still couldn't. So this fight took a good amount of time. Could not target them the entire time.
Jeez.
And I died. And I was just like, that right there, you don't know what the other people are dealing with. And I ran into he's a really, really good PvPer, and I wanted to fight him. Um, but I just took my Witcher out, and I just switched Witcher over to two-hand and bow just to see what that's about. Normally I run on Witcher bow two-hander. And I very quickly changed back to bow and two-hander after this because I could not gap close to him. I couldn't even target him, and I could not D-swing him. And out of the I would say out of the 10 times that I tried to D-swing, only 2 of them went off, which is not gonna be enough consistent pressure. Meanwhile, he is just going ham on me. And so it's just super frustrating. I even ran back 2 or 3 times to fight him again. So he killed me. I couldn't target him, couldn't do anything, except for heal, and it was very frustrating. And so I ran back, ran into another guy, exact same thing happened. I was able to target him right initially, with a gap closer and then a couple D swings, and then the second the hitbox was broke on a D swing, and I was no longer like something had happened. I couldn't retarget him after that with gap closes or D-swing. And so I died to him just as the guy I was running back to fight um, come rolling up. And he didn't jump in. He just come rolling up and watch me die. And I'm like, well, dang it. Like, work, please. I want a PvP right now.
Did you message the first guy?
No.
Because I think it would have been cool if you like, hey, you mind just helping me test something here because I couldn't, you know, I couldn't target you, I couldn't gap close you, nothing like that, and then
Yeah.
just like try to reproduce it and then maybe post it on the forums or something to help give Zos like just some actual thing like, hey, like just give him more visual
I
information.
wish I would have did that too. Grimlock is his name over on DC. Real good PvPer, and he was helpful in some of my live streams. Actually, he jumped in and was given some helpful advice and stuff. So I like Grimlock, but he was the guy that I ran back, and I was with a group of people, and anyways, I was like, I can't gap close to this guy. I can't even target him right now or D-swing him. But so I ran back a third time and tracked the Grimlock down, and same deal. I was able to get the jump on him with the gap close and able to get like the first 2 D-swings on him, and then nothing else after that would register as like he wasn't within my hitbox or cross. I couldn't do either one of those things against him after that. And so then I ended up just light and heavy attacking and just trying to heal through his onslaught, and did not work, And so after that third time, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't know what else to do. So, and this is what I want to do right now. I want a PvP and I can't. So, but really strange. So, don't right now, you shouldn't be out there teabagging people. If you are, you're just a trashy human being. So there that is. So
Well said, I think.
yep, don't be a trashy human being.
Yeah, unless you're making
Hey.
a video and you're being a good sport about it.
Hey, speaking of trashy human beings,
I was gonna make a thing saying like, yeah, unless you're like streaming from a dumpster or something like that.
yeah, if you're streaming from a dumpster, man, check out Dr. Gankenstein, who modified a dumpster, and he's actually doing his live streams from a dumpster. I don't know if the entire backstory, but I guess somebody told him he was trash, because he's a Nightblade. And he was like, I don't want to just play like trash. I don't want to just be trash. Or I don't want to just play like trash. I want to be trash. And so now he's streaming from a dumpster. And so go check that out. It's the funniest thing ever. He's not a trashy human being. Also, by the way, Dr. Gankenstein's an amazing human being. And
who just happens to be streaming from a trash can.
Yeah.
From a dumpster.
Yeah, something like 15 years in the Marines and 7 years in the Coast Guard. And now he's done with service, but you should hear all the amazing stories of what he did to stream. Like, just a really, really cool story.
Yeah, I remember catching his stream a couple days ago, and he just showed up on my YouTube feed, and I was like, Dr. Gankenstein. But then the thumbnail for it was just like a white background, like it was like a picture from like just behind some store, and it was just a green dumpster out there. I'm just like, the trash man? Like, what the heck's going on here? Like, that's such a weird thumbnail. And I clicked on it. It's just his face and a black background. I was like, what the heck's going on here? And then I was watching for a couple minutes, and then I spoke to you like afterward, and I was like, oh my god, this makes so much sense now. Jesus.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, out there, but so super cool. And I think it's really funny. So, and who would have ever thought we'd be sitting here on a podcast talking about how cool it is that some guy plays from a dumpster? Like, what's going on in your life?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's never been done before, but it probably hasn't.
Probably hasn't. This is a first. He's an innovator, and this might become a thing. So
I don't think it's going to become a thing.
You
Hey,
don't think
Mom.
we should start a dumpster, video gaming dumpster company that has like outlets inside the dumpsters and like a air conditioning unit and like
Actually, actually, I take back what I just said because you just gave me an idea. You know how that you can make like a gaming rig?
yeah, yeah.
You can just and by a rig I mean like a whole like gaming like station, like a freaking like it's like a chair, it like freaking pulls down, and you got the whole monitors and everything's all part of like the chair component stuff. Now you can just make a gaming dumpster. Okay, it looks like a dumpster on the outside, but it's actually a full gaming setup on the inside. And you know, credit. I'll give credit where it's due. We're getting Dr. Gengenstein actually being out in some store doing it and stuff, whatever. But obviously this is made, it's gonna be clean and nice where you can park this dumpster inside your house in a room, and it'll look like a dumpster on the outside, but really it's like your man cave where it's just an awesome optimized gaming setup
And
inside this dumpster.
and I'm gonna take it a step further. We're gonna partner with Monster Energy Drink, and like one side of the dumpster on the inside is going to be a refrigerated, like a small refrigerated thing for drinks, and it'll have like a Monster Energy drinks in there. So, could you imagine like a nice neon illuminated refrigerator in there, Monster logos on it?
And then people are like, "Are you streaming from a dumpster?" And you're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "No, you're not. It's like out. It's like freaking geared up with all this stuff." And then like you open the lid and whatever. Like, no, I'm in a dumpster, right? I just outfitted it with all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
See, and I'm gonna get like neon lights underneath my dumpster too, and like hydraulics on the wheels, and like some fuzzy dice, and
as soon as you said hydraulics, I'm like, okay, we gotta end this episode. He's going too far with this.
yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness, hydraulics on a dumpster.
We're gonna make this happen. This is a thing now. I'm gonna start working with Dr. Genkenstein right now. We're gonna line up these sponsors and make this happen.
Grim, I wish you the best of luck. So, okay. Enough about all that stuff. I think we're pretty much good to go. Like, wrapping this up here. So, any final remarks, Grim, before we close out?
No, everybody have fun at Midyear Mayhem, and try and keep your chin up while the performance is being worked on, and just do what you love.
Yeah. And as a reminder, because sometimes I do in the beginning and sometimes I do it at the end, we do have the audio version of the podcast, located on Anchor. There's always a link in the description below for you to check it out there. And with that said, we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.
See ya. You're gonna say bye bye, Argonians.
Bye bye, Rogonian.